The wind cut through the night like 1,000 knives. Snow fell heavy from the dark sky, covering the world in white silence. A mother walked slowly, her small child wrapped in a thin blanket against her chest. Her steps sank deep into the snow, each one harder than the last. Her lips were blue, her skin pale, but she did not stop. She could not stop. The mother's name was Alara, and she had only one goal: to keep her child alive. The storm had swallowed the road, the trees, even the stars. The world around her was only white and black, endless snow and endless night. Her breath came out in sharp clouds, fading into the storm as quickly as they appeared. The child in her arms gave a weak cry, and Alara held him closer, whispering, "Just a little longer, my love, just a little longer." But in truth, she did not know how much longer she could walk. Her boots were torn, her legs burned with pain. Every sound of the wind seemed to laugh at her weakness. She thought of the warm home they had lost, the fire that once gave them comfort, now only a memory buried in ash. The village had fallen, and so had everyone she knew. Now it was only her. And the child, fighting against the storm. The snowstorm roared louder, as if the earth itself wanted to push her down. Her vision blurred, her hands numb, even as she clutched the child tighter. The world became a cruel blur of white. She stumbled, nearly falling, but forced herself up again. She whispered a prayer, though no one was there to hear it. Not the gods, not the stars, not even the wind still. She prayed because it was the only thing keeping her feet moving. Her child stirred again, eyes half open, lips trembling. Alara kissed his forehead, though her lips had no warmth left to give. Her tears froze on her cheeks as soon as they fell. The storm did not care. The world did not care, but Alara cared. And that was enough to keep her alive a little longer. She tried to remember a song her mother once sang, but her voice cracked in the cold. The melody, broken still. She hummed, her breath weak, hoping it would comfort her child. The sound was swallowed by the storm, but in her heart it remained. For a moment she almost believed they were not alone. For a moment she imagined someone was listening, someone was watching. The snow grew deeper, her knees shaking as she moved. Forward her body screamed to rest, to fall, to give in to the white silence. Her mind whispered, "Just sleep, just one moment." But she knew if she closed her eyes, she would never open them again. And if she did not open her eyes, her child would never see another morning. So she pushed, one step, then another, and another. The storm answered with fury, as if mocking her will. Her child gave another faint cry, weaker this time. Her heart broke, fear stabbing deeper than the cold ever could, she thought. This is the end. This is our last night. Her chest ached, her breath short and sharp. The snow clung to her eyelashes, to her hair, to every part of her. The world wanted her gone, but she refused. Still, she refused. Her legs finally gave way, and she fell. To her knees, the child whimpered, his face pressed against her chest. Alara tried to rise, but her strength was gone. The snow welcomed her fall, wrapping around her body like a cold grave. She whispered again, "Just a little longer, my love. Please." Her voice was almost gone, only a breath in the wind. The storm howled louder than ever, and in that moment Alara thought she heard something else, a sound that did not belong to the storm. It was faint, distant, but different. A step, a crunch in the snow. Her heart skipped, her mind too weak to believe. She told herself it was only the storm playing tricks, but then it came again. Another sound, closer, stronger. Her eyes widened, though she could barely lift her head. Through the white blur, a shape moved, tall and strange. It did not bend to the storm as she did. It walked with calm power, each step certain. A figure glowing faintly against the night. Alara blinked, unsure if her mind was breaking. The child stirred as if sensing something real. The figure drew closer, the glow brighter. Alara's breath caught in her throat. Her last thought before the darkness pulled at her was, "This is not the end. Someone is here." And for the first time in endless hours, she dared to hope. Alara's body trembled in the snow, her arms weak as they clutched her child. Her eyes were half closed, the storm pulling her into darkness. But through the blur of wind and frost, she saw the figure step closer. It was no shadow, no dream, but something alive, something real. The tall figure bent down, its shape clearer now. It was wrapped in strange silver cloth that shimmered faintly. Even in the storm, no snow touched its body, as if the storm itself feared it. Its eyes glowed faint blue, not like fire, but like ice that carried light inside. Ilara wanted to scream, to protect her child, but no sound left her frozen lips. The figure crouched, studying her, its head tilting in a slow, curious motion. It spoke, and the voice was calm, deep, carrying a rhythm she had never heard. The words were strange, not from her world, but somehow her heart understood. "You are not meant to die here," the voice said, low but clear. Her heart raced, torn between fear and hope. The child whimpered, and the sound seemed to move the stranger. A hand stretched out, long fingers wrapped in silver light. Ilara flinched, pulling her child close, but the touch never came. Instead, the stranger pressed a device against the air. A soft glow spread around them, and suddenly the cold lessened. The storm's scream faded into a muffled whisper. It was as if they had stepped inside a bubble of silence and warmth. Ilara's eyes widened, her breath trembling. She whispered, her voice cracked, Who are you?" The figure leaned closer, and though its face was hidden, she felt its gaze. "A traveler," it replied. "One who walks where no one should walk." She shook her head weakly, tears freezing on her lashes. "You are not human," she whispered, more to herself than to it. The figure paused, as if considering her words. Then it nodded, slow, almost respectful. "No, not as you are," it said, "but not so different either." Its voice carried weight, like truth carved in stone. Ilara's heart ached with confusion. Why would such a being appear now in her final breath? Her body shivered, weakness threatening to steal her voice. She looked at her child, whose tiny hands moved under the blanket. The stranger's eyes softened, faint glow shifting warmer. It bent closer, and for a moment the storm seemed far away. "Your child's heart still beats strong," it said. "But without shelter, that heartbeat will end tonight." Ilara closed her eyes, a sob breaking through her cracked lips. "I cannot walk anymore," she whispered. "I cannot go further." The stranger tilted its head again, as if trying to understand sorrow. Then it spoke, its voice almost like a vow. "Then I will carry you." Before she could resist, the figure lifted her with ease, her child still in her arms. Protected between them, Ilara gasped, surprised at the warmth radiating from the stranger's touch. It was not the cold metal she expected, but something alive, steady. The storm pressed harder outside their shield, but the figure walked through. Each step was strong, unshaken. While the snow seemed to bend away, Ilara forced her eyes open, watching as they moved deeper into the night. The storm stretched endless, but the stranger walked as if it knew the path. Snow crunched under its feet, yet no cold touched her anymore. She stared at its glowing eyes, wondering if this was truly real, or if death had come in a gentler form. But the steady heartbeat of her child reminded her it was no dream. Minutes or maybe hours passed. Ilara could not tell time in the storm. Her mind drifted, heavy with exhaustion. But each time her eyes closed, the stranger's voice reached her. "Stay awake," it said. "Do not give in." Its words were not cruel but strong, pulling her back from sleep. Finally, through the white curtain of snow, a dark shape appeared. Not a tree, not a rock, but something larger. It rose from the earth like a hidden tower of ice and stone. The stranger stepped toward it, a faint hum rising in the air. The shape glowed, faintly as they approached, lines of light forming across its surface. A door appeared, sliding open without sound. Warmth spilled from inside, bright and strange. Ilara's weak eyes widened at the sight. Walls of silver, glowing veins of blue, and air that carried life instead of frost. The stranger carried her inside. the storm vanishing as the door sealed behind them. The silence was heavy, broken only by the hum of strange machines. Ilara lay in its arms, unable to believe what she saw. She whispered, barely holding breath. This is not Earth." The stranger's glowing eyes met hers, and for the first time she thought she saw something like a smile in its silence. "No," it said. "It is not." The door closed behind them with a soft hiss, shutting out the storm. For the first time in endless hours, Ilara could breathe without pain. The warmth inside the shelter wrapped around her like a blanket. She sank against the stranger's chest. Her child pressed close. Her body wanted to collapse, to surrender to sleep. But her eyes widened as she looked around. The walls were not stone or wood, but smooth metal that seemed alive. Blue light pulsed through thin lines like veins carrying blood. Strange shapes glowed on the surface, symbols she could not understand. The air was different, lighter, filled with a faint hum. It was not a cave. It was not a home. It was something beyond anything she had ever known. The stranger carried her deeper inside, its steps calm and steady. The floor glowed softly beneath its feet, guiding the way. Ilara whispered weakly, "Where are we?" Her voice was broken, yet the sound echoed against the metal walls. The stranger paused, turning its glowing eyes toward her. "A place hidden from your world," it said. "A refuge built long ago." Her heart beat faster, fear mixing with wonder. She looked at her child, who stirred and opened his eyes. The boy's gaze caught the glowing lines, and for a moment he stopped crying. His tiny hand reached out as if drawn by the light. Ilara's breath shook. Her son was calm here, almost safe, yet she still feared the unknown that surrounded them. The corridor opened into a large chamber. The ceiling stretched high, filled with swirling light that looked like frozen stars. Machines lined the walls, humming softly like voices whispering in sleep. At the center stood a platform glowing faint blue. The stranger set Ilara down gently upon it. She felt the warmth rise from beneath her, easing the pain in her body. Her lips trembled as she spoke. "Why are you helping us?" The stranger stood tall, silent for a long moment. Its glowing eyes dimmed and then brightened as though considering her question. Finally it answered, "Because you should not be here dying in the storm. Because your child's life carries something rare, something powerful." Ilara's hands tightened around her son. "What do you mean?" she asked, fear edging her voice. The stranger tilted its head, the silver cloth shifting like liquid light. "Humans endure," it said. "I have traveled many worlds, seen many lives, but none fight against death the way your kind does. Your will, your love, it burns brighter than the stars." She blinked, confused by the weight of its words. "I am no warrior," she whispered. "I am only a mother." The stranger leaned closer, its presence heavy but not cruel. "That is why you are strong," it said simply. Its voice carried no doubt, only truth. Ilara's chest ached, her heart torn between fear and hope. She looked at the strange chamber, the alien machines. Her child cooed softly, comforted by the hum of the walls. For the first time in days, she felt a spark of safety, yet the unknown pressed around her like a shadow. What price would come with this shelter? The stranger moved to one of the walls, placing its hand on a glowing symbol. A hidden panel slid open, revealing strange containers filled with light. One of them detached and floated gently toward Ilara. She gasped, holding her child tighter, but the container hovered in front of her, warm and calm. Inside, a liquid shimmered like melted stars. "This will restore your strength," the stranger said. "It will heal your body, protect you from the cold. But you must choose. Once taken, you will never be the same." Her breath caught in her throat. Never the same. The words echoed inside her mind. She looked at her shaking hands, at her child's innocent face. She wanted to live, she wanted to protect him, but fear clawed at her heart. What if the price was too great? The stranger waited, patient, silent, its glowing eyes fixed on her, as if it already knew her answer. Ilara's lips parted, but no words came. Instead, tears rolled down her cheeks, hot against her frozen skin. She whispered, "Why me?" her voice trembling like the storm outside. The stranger bent closer, its voice softer now. "Because even in your final breath you carried him. Because you chose his life over your own. That choice is what makes you different." Ilara clutched. Her son, her chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. She looked again at the hovering container, glowing with promise and danger. The hum of the machines grew louder, as if urging her to decide. Her heart pounded in her chest, her mind screaming with questions. Would this gift save them, or destroy them? The child let out a soft laugh, his eyes fixed on the glowing light. Ilara froze, staring at her son's face. He was smiling, warm in this strange shelter. It was as if he trusted the stranger more than she did. Her hand shook, her heart breaking under the weight of the choice, and as she sat there, torn between life and fear, the stranger's words returned. "You must decide. Survive as you are, or live as something more." The chamber fell silent, the hum waiting, the storm outside forgotten. Ilara's breath slowed, her eyes locked on the light. The moment of choice hung heavy in the air, and in the shelter of shadows, her destiny began to change. The chamber hummed with quiet energy. Ilara sat holding her child, her eyes fixed on the glowing container before her. The stranger stood nearby, its tall frame casting long shadows across the silver walls. The air was warmer here, yet her heart was colder than ever, trapped between fear and choice. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "What will it do to me?" The stranger lowered its head slightly, the faint light of its eyes softening. "It will heal you," it said. "Your blood will carry strength. Not known to humans, you will endure storms, sickness, even death for a time. But it will mark you. You will never be the same as you are now." Her chest rose and fell in heavy breaths. She looked at her child, his small face calm under the strange glow. Never the same. The words echoed like thunder in her mind. "What are you?" she asked, her voice trembling but steady enough to hold the question. The stranger was silent, its eyes dim for a long moment. Finally, it spoke, its voice lower, carrying weight like stone. "I am not of this world," it said. "My people once walked the stars. We built shelters like this one, hidden across distant lands, but we are no longer many. We are scattered shadows." Ilara shivered, though. No cold touched her skin. She clutched her child tighter, confusion and fear twisting inside her. "Why come here?" she asked. "Why this place? Why me?" The stranger's gaze lingered on her child, glowing faintly brighter. "I did not come for you," it said. "I came searching for what was lost, but fate placed me in your path, and now our journeys are bound." Ilara's lips trembled. "You speak of fate, but I am only a mother running from death." The stranger shook its head slowly. "You are more," it said. "In you burns a fire I have not seen for ages. You carried life through a storm, meant to erase you. That choice is not small. It is everything." Her heart pounded as she stared at the alien walls. The symbols pulsed like a heartbeat, alive and watching. She thought of her village, of the warm faces now lost. Her tears blurred the glow falling on her child's blanket. "Everything I loved is gone," she whispered, "and you tell me I must change into something else. Why should I believe you?" The stranger stepped closer, kneeling so its glowing eyes met hers. "Because your story is not ended," it said firmly. "You think yourself broken, but broken things can become stronger, and in your child lies a future I cannot see alone." Her breath shook, as silence stretched between them. The child's small hand moved, reaching toward the glowing container. Ilara froze, watching the innocent gesture. It was as if her son already knew the choice she feared to make. The stranger's voice came again, softer now. This world may not forgive your strength, but strength is what will keep him alive. Ilara pressed her lips against her child's head. She felt the weight of his tiny heartbeat, fragile yet defiant. Her soul trembled with the thought of losing him, and in that trembling, she knew her answer. She raised her eyes to the stranger. Her, tears burning hot. "If I take this, what happens to him?" she asked. The stranger's gaze did not waver. "He will live," it said. "That is all that matters now." Ilara's hand shook as she reached toward the hovering container. The liquid inside shimmered brighter, responding. To her touch, it pulsed as if alive, waiting for her decision. Her heart screamed with fear, but her love screamed louder. She closed her eyes, whispering, "For him." The container opened with a soft hiss. A warm light poured into her hand, sinking into her skin like fire. Her body arched, every nerve burning. She gasped, nearly dropping her child. The stranger's hand steadied her, firm and unyielding. The fire spread through her veins, sharp and wild. Yet beneath the pain was something deeper, strength. Her vision blurred, then cleared sharper than before. The chamber's lights glowed brighter, colors she had never seen now visible. Her breath steadied, her strength returning in waves. The storm of death that once crushed her body now seemed like a memory, but her reflection in the silver wall made her freeze. Her eyes glowed faintly, a soft blue like the stranger's. Her lips trembled, fear rising again. "What have I become?" she whispered. The stranger stood tall beside her, its voice calm. "You have become what you always were, only now the world will see it." Ilara looked down at her child. He was smiling, small hands reaching toward her glowing eyes without fear. Her heart softened, breaking and healing at once. She held him close, whispering, "No matter what I am still your mother." The stranger's gaze lingered, silent but steady. It turned toward the far wall where new symbols glowed to life, a path opening deeper into the shelter. It spoke, its voice carrying both warning and promise. "There is more you must know, more hidden truths waiting in the dark, and with your choice you are part of them now." Ilara's heart pounded, her fear not gone but transformed into something fiercer. She rose to her feet, holding her child tight. Her body was different, her soul the same, and in the shelter of shadows, she stepped toward a truth that would change everything. The chamber's glow pulsed softly, like the heartbeat of some great hidden machine. Ilara stood unsteady, her child pressed against her chest. Her body felt stronger than it ever had, yet strange energy hummed in her veins. She touched her arm and felt warmth under her skin, as if fire lived inside her now. Her reflection in the silver wall stared back with glowing eyes, faint blue light circling her pupils. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "I am not the same anymore." Her words echoed heavy in the quiet chamber. The stranger watched her, its eyes calm, unreadable. "You chose life," it said, "but every choice carries its price." Ilara held her child tighter, heart pounding with fear. "What price?" she asked, voice sharper than before. The stranger stepped closer, its tall frame towering but not threatening. "The storm will no longer claim you," it said. "Your body will endure what others cannot, but the bond between you and the world you knew is broken." She shivered, though no cold touched her. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice cracking. The stranger's glowing eyes dimmed, its voice steady and low. "Your people may not see you as one of them anymore. You carry the mark of my kind now, and with it comes both strength and burden." Her breath quickened, fear twisting in her chest. Her people were gone, her village destroyed, yet the thought of never belonging cut deep. She closed her eyes, whispering, "I only wanted to protect him." Her child stirred, small hands pressing against her glowing skin. His touch calmed her racing heart, grounding her in the moment. The stranger stepped back, placing its hand on another panel of the wall. The chamber shifted, opening into a lower passage filled with deeper blue light. "Come," it said. "There is more you must see. Your choice has bound you to a path, and it does not end here." Ilara hesitated, her legs heavy, but her body no longer felt weak. Each step stronger than the last, she followed, holding her child close. The passage curved downward, the hum of machines louder now. Symbols glowed brighter as they walked, responding to her presence. It was as if the shelter itself recognized her. At the end of the corridor, they entered another chamber, vast and endless. Walls stretched high, filled with rows of strange capsules. Each one glowed faintly, shapes lying still inside. Ilara gasped, her voice breaking. "Are those people?" The stranger's eyes glowed, reflecting the light of the capsules. "No," it said, "not people as you know. Echoes of my kind, resting in silence." Her chest tightened as she looked at the still forms. Were they alive? Were they waiting? The stranger turned to her, its voice heavy with memory. "We once walked many worlds building sanctuaries, but war came, fire and ruin. We hid what we could, burying ourselves in shadows. I remain, but I am only one." Ilara's heart ached with the weight of its words. "You are alone," she whispered. The stranger paused, then nodded slowly. "Yes, until now," it said, its glowing eyes fixed on her. "You are not one of us, yet you carry our fire. You are the bridge between what was lost and what still remains." Her stomach twisted with fear. "I never asked for this," she whispered. "I only wanted to keep my child alive." The stranger's voice softened. "And you did. But survival is never free. It demands change, sacrifice, and strength beyond fear." The chamber hummed louder, the capsules glowing brighter as if, stirred by their presence, Ilara's skin tingled, the energy inside her veins answering the light. She gasped, clutching her child tighter. "What is happening to me?" she cried. The stranger stepped closer, placing a hand over her shoulder. "You are awakening," it said. "The price of survival is not only change, it is responsibility." Her knees shook under the weight of its words. Responsibility, a word that cut deeper than pain. She had already lost everything, yet now she was tied to something greater. Her glowing reflection stared back from the metal surface. No longer only a mother, no longer only human. Her child cooed softly, his innocent eyes glowing with reflected light, and in his small face she saw the truth. This was all for him. The stranger turned to the capsules, its voice carrying sorrow and hope. "My kind sleeps waiting for a time that may never come. But in you, I see a chance that life will not end in silence." Ilara's lips pressed into a thin line. She did not understand all of his words, but she understood enough. Her choice had saved her son, but it had also tied her to something vast. A storm greater than snow waited beyond these walls. Her survival came with a cost she could not yet see, but as she held her child close, she whispered fiercely, "No matter what I have become, I will never let him go." The stranger's glowing eyes softened. It turned, pointing to another path opening ahead. "Then your journey begins here," it said. "And the price you paid will lead you to a truth far greater than survival." The chamber pulsed with light, the storm outside forgotten. And in the silence of shadows, Ilara took her first step into a destiny she did not choose, but one she would carry, for the sake of her child. The shelter glowed softly around them, the light pulsing like a living heart. Ilara stood taller now, her body stronger, her breaths deeper. The fire in her veins no longer burned with pain, but with quiet strength. Her child rested against her chest, warm, his eyes half closed, comforted by her touch. For the first time since the storm began, Ilara felt alive. She felt as if she had stepped into a world beyond death. Yet the change inside her frightened her more than the storm ever had. Her eyes glowed faintly. Her skin carried warmth like a hidden flame. She whispered to herself, "I am still me. I must be still me." The stranger's tall frame moved closer, its glowing eyes steady. "You are not less," it said, its voice like stone shaped by time. "You are more, not for power, but for the bond you carry." Ilara frowned, confusion pressing against her mind. "What bond?" she asked, her voice low. The stranger gestured to her child, resting in her arms. The bond of life you chose to protect. The bond of love that changed you. Alara looked down at her son. His small fingers curled around the edge of her cloak. He stirred and let out a soft laugh, his eyes bright under the glowing light. Her heart broke and healed at the same time. Everything she had suffered, every step in the storm, it had all led to this moment, her child alive, her arms strong enough to hold him. The stranger studied her carefully, its silver cloth shifting like liquid in the light. My kind thought strength was only found in fire, in war, in victory. It said, but we forgot the oldest truth. Strength is born in love. Its voice carried sorrow, as if remembering a great mistake. Alara listened, unsure whether to fear the meaning or trust it, yet her heart told her there was no lie in those words. She stepped closer, her glowing reflection following her in the silver walls. Her voice shook but did not break. Then why help me, she asked. Why give me this strength? What do you want from me? The stranger tilted its head, its eyes brighter now. I want nothing from you, it said, but I see in you what my people lost. Your bond is rare, it can save not only him, it can save much more than you imagine. Ilara's stomach tightened, the weight of its words pressing against her. She was no warrior, no chosen one. She was only a mother who refused to let her child die. Yet here she stood, changed with power she did not ask for. Her heart raced as fear and hope clashed inside her. She whispered, I don't want to save the world, I only want to save him. The stranger's glowing eyes softened. And in saving him, you may save much more, it said. But the choice will always be yours. Alara turned away, holding her child tighter. Her heart knew the truth of its words, yet she was not ready to carry such a burden. Not yet. Not while grief and fear still lived inside her. The chamber shifted suddenly, the lights on the walls flickering. The hum grew louder, shaking the air. Alara gasped, stepping back as the ground beneath them trembled. Her child whimpered, and she rocked him gently, whispering. The stranger raised its hand, pressing against a glowing symbol on the wall. The shaking eased, the chamber calming again, but the stranger's voice carried warning. The storm outside is not the only danger. Others may come drawn by your light. Your bond will protect you, but it will also mark you. Ilara's lips pressed tight, her eyes lowered to her child's calm face. She kissed his forehead, whispering fiercely, Then let them come. I will never let him go. Not to the storm. Not to death. Not to anyone. The stranger watched her. In silence, its glowing eyes reflected strength in her that she could not see herself. It bowed its head slightly, a gesture of respect. Then the bond is forged, it said, between you, your child, and the fire now in your veins. This bond will shape what comes next. Alara closed her eyes for a moment, breathing deep. She felt the fire inside her steady, no longer a storm but a heartbeat. Her child stirred, his small hand touching her glowing cheek without fear. Tears filled her eyes, falling warm for the first time in days. She smiled through them, whispering, No matter what I become, I am his mother. That will never change. The stranger stepped back, its tall form half hidden in the silver glow. Then you are ready, it said. Not for war, not for power, but for the truth that waits beyond these walls. The chamber grew brighter, a new path opening ahead. Alara stood taller, her child safe in her arms, her heart still heavy with fear, but steadier than before. The bond between them had been tested by death, and now forged by fire it would carry them into the unknown. The shelter's walls pulsed brighter, the glow rising like the sun breaking through endless night. Alara stood at the threshold of the new passage, her child pressed to her chest. Her eyes glowed faint blue, her skin warm with the fire of survival. The stranger's tall frame loomed beside her, silent, its gaze fixed on the path ahead. The chamber behind them grew quiet, the rows of sleeping capsules fading back into shadows. Alara turned her head one last time, staring at the still forms of the stranger's lost kind. A shiver ran through her, not from cold, but from the weight of what she had seen. She whispered softly, So much silence, so much loss. The stranger's voice carried behind her, low and steady. That silence is the shadow of choices made long ago, but silence is not the end, not if you walk forward. Her steps echoed as she moved into the new corridor, the floor lit with her every movement, symbols awakening under her feet. The child stirred, his small eyes glowing faintly with reflected light. Elara kissed his forehead, whispering, "You are my dawn, my hope." The air grew warmer, filled with a hum that sounded like 1,000 voices. The passage opened into a great chamber, higher than any hall she had ever known. Above them, the ceiling shifted and shimmered, opening into an illusion of stars. Elara gasped, her heart racing. It was not the sky, yet it was vast, endless, filled with constellations she had never seen. She whispered, "What is this place?" The stranger's eyes glowed brighter. "This is memory," it said, "the heart of what remains." Strange shapes formed in the light above them, worlds spinning, battles flashing, shadows consuming stars. Ilara's breath caught as she watched the visions unfold, a story written in light, a history not of her people but of the stranger's kind. She saw them rise, walking across worlds with fire and wisdom. She saw them fall, broken by their own pride. The stars above dimmed, collapsing into silence. Her chest tightened with sorrow. Her voice broke as she whispered, "You lost everything." The stranger's voice carried sorrow like a wound that never healed. "Yes," it said, "but loss is not the end. Not if another carries what was forgotten." Its glowing eyes fixed on her, sharp and unyielding. "You are not one of us, but you carry our fire now. And with it, you will walk paths that others cannot." Ilara's heart shook under the weight of its words, her body strong, yet her soul still raw with grief. She clutched her child closer, whispering fiercely, "I never asked for this. I only wanted to save him." The stranger's voice softened, steady as stone. "And in saving him, you may save more than you know." The stars above shifted again. One light grew brighter, glowing white, piercing the darkness. Elara stared at it, her heart pounding. Her child reached out, small fingers curling toward the light. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "What is it?" The stranger answered, "It is what comes next, the future that waits beyond this storm." The chamber's glow dimmed, the vision fading, the stars closed, leaving silence heavy in the air. Elara turned toward the stranger, her voice steady now. "What do I do?" she asked. The stranger bowed its head slightly. "You walk, you endure, you protect what you love. That is enough." Her eyes burned with tears, but she did not look away. She felt the bond inside her, forged in fire, unbroken by fear. Her child stirred, letting out a soft laugh that echoed in the silence. For the first time, the sound did not break her heart, it healed it. She smiled faintly, whispering, "We will live, no matter what comes." The shelter rumbled, the walls shifting. A new door opened, revealing the storm outside had begun to fade. The snow still fell, but softer now, the wind gentler. The night sky broke open, revealing faint stars above the horizon. Elara stepped forward, her boots crunching into the snow once more, her child warm against her chest, her body burning with quiet strength. The stranger followed, its tall frame glowing faintly under the night. It looked at the sky, then at her. "You are proof," it said, its voice calm. "Proof that love can endure what fire and war could not. Proof that humans are not weak, but strong beyond measure." Elara's heart pounded, her eyes on the fading storm. She whispered, "I am no proof, I am only a mother." The stranger's eyes softened, brighter than before. "And that is why you are enough." The storm ended, the silence heavy but filled with promise. Elara breathed deep, the cold no longer a threat. Her child slept peacefully, his small breath steady against her heart. She looked at the horizon where dawn began to rise through the snow. Her voice trembled as she whispered, This is not the end. This is our beginning. The stranger stood beside her, silent but steady, the bond between them unspoken yet unbreakable. The storm had tried to take everything, but it had given her something greater, a new dawn, a new path, a new truth. And as she stepped forward, into the snow, her journey and her child's had only just begun.